safe and pleasant time. Thank you.
We are almost ready to start. I would once again request everybody to please take your seats and put your phones on silent. Thank you. Once again, I request everybody to please take your seats. We are about to begin. Thank you for your patience. Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here today to celebrate 150 remarkable years of the Bombay Stock Exchange, and it is my pleasure to introduce the Master of Ceremonies, orchestrating the flow of events, Nijay Nair, CEO and Head of Capital Markets Communication Group at Factors PR.
Good afternoon, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for our chief guest, the Honorable Minister of Finance and Corporate Affairs, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman ji. We also have the privilege, please take your seats, ladies and gentlemen. We also have the privilege of having with us here today the Honorable Minister of State, Finance, Shri Pankaj Chaudhary ji, and the Chairman of the Security and Exchange Board of India, Shri Tuhin Kanta Pandey ji. Esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience and namaskar. We gather here today to celebrate a milestone that resonates through time. 150 years of the Bombay Stock Exchange, or the BSE as we know it. The BSE has had the privilege to participate in India's journey through a century and a half of change. From its struggles of the 19th century, past the triumph of independence, to its rise as a global economic superpower that it is today. Born in 1875 under a banyan tree here in Mumbai, growing into the heartbeat of India's financial might, 150 years is not just a number for BSE, but a saga of vision, resilience, and the unyielding spirit of continued relevance. On behalf of everyone here at the Bombay Stock Exchange, we are honored to welcome you to our 150-year celebrations. And we cannot thank you enough for considering us worthy to share this moment with us. And so, on behalf of BSE, here's welcoming you by saying thank you. And now, to mark the beginning of today's proceedings, may I request the dignitaries present today, in order, the Honorable Minister for Finance and Corporate Affairs, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman ji, Honorable Minister of State Finance, Shri Pankaj Chaudhary ji, Chairman of the Security and Exchange Board of India, Shri Tuhin Kanta Pandey ji, and Shri Sundararaman Ramamurthy ji, the Managing Director and CEO of the Bombay Stock Exchange, to please illuminate this auspicious day with a lamp lighting ceremony.
वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा. वक्रतुंड महाकाय.
May I please request the dignitaries to take their seats on the dais. Ladies and gentlemen, as we embark on this historic occasion, celebrating 150 years of the Bombay Stock Exchange, it is my privilege to call upon the person steering this esteemed institution since January of 2023. Under his leadership, BSE continues to emerge stronger and is soaring new heights of relevance, building upon its enduring legacy of resilience. Please join me in welcoming, to deliver the welcome address, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Bombay Stock Exchange, Shri Sundararaman Ramamurthy ji. Over to you,
sir. Distinguished dignitaries on the dais, our chief guest, Honorable Minister of Finance and Corporate Affairs, Nirmala Sitharaman ji, our guests of honor, Honorable Minister of State Finance, Chaudhary Sahab, Chairman SEBI, Pandey Sahab, and other guests, सर्वप्रथम प्रणाम और नमस्कार. It's a great pleasure, honor, a lifetime opportunity for me that I am delivering this welcome address on this August occasion. While standing here, I actually represent all the good work of all my predecessors at BSE, the boards, regulators, and policymakers who have contributed for the existence and growth of BSE. Our existence is a testament to the resilience, innovation, and passion of them and to the determination of us to carry this forward. 150 years is a long time. I look at it in three parts. Pre-1957, 1957 to 1992, post-1992. In the pre-1957 area, as part of the pre-Azad Bharat, the seeds of Asia's and India's oldest stock exchange, BSE, were sown. The regulatory framework, purpose, and goals were different. Despite multiple ups and downs, BSE showed resilience and contributed to the economic development. In 1957, BSE got recognized as the first recognized stock exchange of India. And with the formulation of Securities Contract Regulation Acts, some amount of clarity on the role of stock exchanges emerged, but still there was a significant stakeholder bias. With SEBI Act in 1992, the direction became very clear: investor protection, awareness creation, through which the development of capital markets. As first-line regulators, stock exchanges started performing this clear role under the guidance of SEBI. This era has seen significant progress. Online anonymous order matching system, novation through central clearing party, dematerialization, shortening of settlement cycles, strengthening of clearing and settlement. All of these resulting in spread and democratization of access, transparency, liquidity, corporate governance, democratic dissemination of corporate information, co-creation of regulation with a consultative approach, and thus building trust, capital formation, job creation, wealth creation, and overall economic development. The numbers stand testimony to the significance of these measures. Today, BSE has around 5,500 listed entities, largest in the world, with market cap of around 400 lakh crores, sixth largest. 25 years before, it was a meager 6 lakh crores. In last 5 years, BSE has enabled capital formation to the extent of 100 lakh crores. The number of investors have grown 4 times. Sensex BSE's benchmark index 3 times. AUM under AMC's 3 times. Number of retail folios 12-fold. Systematic investment plan around 6-fold. 60% of this growth has come from non-Tier 1 and Tier 2 securities, which goes with the social objective of financial inclusion. Financialization of household savings have increased from 27 to 39%. Currently, around 1,100 SMEs are listed in the stock exchanges in India, with BSE contributing around 570 listing. This is a very, very, very small number compared to the total number of SMEs, which are around 6 crores in this country. SME contributes in a significant way for economic development, job creation, exports, and therefore to GDP. Equity listing of SMEs goes a big way in augmenting banking by providing the risk capital and therefore enabling banks to provide quality working capital. We have to go a long way, and we will certainly work towards that. Under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, we are living in a golden era of Azadi Ki Amrit Kal, where we are marching towards Viksit Bharat and Atmanirbhar Bharat. Madam, with record 8 consecutive budgets, you have relentlessly been working for the cause of Indian economy and India Inc. With the continued development of our economy through growth-oriented policy formulation and robust regulatory setup, India will become a developed nation by 2047. There will be more than 1 billion Indians who will be in the earning age, contributing for this country's growth, consumption, production, savings and investments. The role of Yuva and Nari, which our Honorable Finance Minister has close to her heart, is very important in this process. Madam, we at BSE stand committed to the market development and regulation and shall continue to contribute by performing our role diligently and relentlessly. Under the able guidance of our regulators and policymakers, we will continue to play a pivotal role in taking India's capital markets to new heights domestically and beyond. This is a momentous occasion, and I once again thank the dignitaries on the dais and the other guests for honoring us by your presence here, and I welcome you all for the event ahead. Thank you and namaskar.
Thank you, Ramamurthy ji, for those inspiring words. And here is wishing you and Team BSE the very best as you propel BSE forward into the future. Ladies and gentlemen, now, in line with the age-old tradition at the Bombay Stock Exchange, may I request Ramamurthy ji to escort Honorable Minister Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman ji to inaugurate today's proceedings with the ringing of the gong. And ladies and gentlemen, maybe we can help them with some applause when the gong rings to commemorate this 150-year celebrations. And here we go. Thank you. We now have some special initiative launches to commemorate this historic occasion. Honorable Minister, it would be our privilege to have you officially unveil the BSE 150-year commemorative coin for all of us here today. We have two other initiatives we would like the Honorable Minister to launch for us in this auspicious occasion. The first is the brand new BSE 150 Index, which features 150 of the country's most liquid companies. We also have BSE's CSR initiatives. Honorable Minister, if you could please do the honors by clicking the remote in your hand. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for blessing those initiatives. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 150 years of the Bombay Stock Exchange has been more than just an institution for India. It has been a living witness and participant to India's transformation from a country under colonial rule into the global economic superpower that it is today. We now have a short film that traces this journey of BSE through resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, here is 150 years of the Bombay Stock Exchange.
BSE, the Kalpavriksha of the Indian capital market, is completing its 150 years of service to the economy. The oldest recognized stock exchange in Asia, BSE has been the leading beacon of the multi-trillion-dollar Indian stock market, one of the largest in the world. Conceived under a banyan tree, the Bombay Stock Exchange was first formed as the Native Shares and Stockbrokers Association in 1875. Through reforms, it supported the growth of corporate India and freedom movement of the country.
BSE's resilience lied in its ability to continue to remain relevant and contemporary. As early as 1936, BSE pursued hard with Government of Bombay and aligned its listing requirements with that of London Stock Exchange. In 1956, the first important capital market regulation called Securities Contract Regulation Act was enacted, and BSE became the first recognized stock exchange of India, leading into a new era.
What Bombay Stock Exchange has done is to provide, in the very early days, the foundation for the growth of business and industry. Without a proper functioning stock exchange, I do not think we would have, as a country, reached where we are today.
To provide a capable performance benchmark in the country's capital market, the exchange launched BSE Sensex in 1986.
The oldest index of India is considered the barometer of the performance of India's economy.
1990s saw economic upheaval and strife for the country in form of balance of payment crisis and terror attacks.
We were all inside and the entire center glass of the building, it fell. We all got the lines temporarily up and business was as usual on Monday. We want to show the terrorists that we are unstoppable.
BSE became unstoppable as it became the first exchange to adapt to transformative technologies of trading, while setting up pillars for the new capital market.
Online trading, trade guarantee system and depository system. These were the three main pillars of having the modern markets that you have today.
The reform process witnessed the emergence of multiple new sectors. BSE continued to support capital formation in the existing and new sectors and ushered in a new era of vibrancy.
Under the new leadership, with its agile customer-centric focus, new cutting-edge technology, product diversification, and global integration, the Kalpavriksha of Indian capital market is gearing up for Viksit Bharat.
India now has a very well-articulated vision of Viksit Bharat under the leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister. I am confident that BSE, under the guidance of our Honorable Finance Minister, will be the key catalyst in fulfilling the collective vision of this new India.
BSE continues to serve the emerging Viksit Bharat in its efforts of capital formation, wealth creation and economic well-being. Indeed, BSE is the Kalpavriksha, the wish-granting tree which provides not only shade but also prosperity, abundance and wealth.
As more and more Indians' aspirations for wealth gets fulfilled, the Kalpavriksha of India's capital market stays rooted in its strength of timeless wisdom, resilience and regeneration. Today, as the institution celebrates the privilege of partnering the nation in its growth journey, its new journey has just begun.
Ladies and gentlemen, on this occasion of 150, for those who serve BSE here today and those before us, a round of applause. I would now like to call upon the stage our guest of honor, the 11th Chairman of the Security and Exchange Board of India, Shri Tuhin Kanta Pandey ji, to address this august House.
Honorable Minister of Finance and Corporate Affairs, Shrimati Nirmala Sitharaman ji, Honorable Minister of State for Finance, Shri Pankaj Chaudhary ji, distinguished board members of BSE, past and present, Mr. Ramamurthy, MD and CEO, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's my proud privilege to be here today on this historic occasion and be witness to BSE celebrating 150 years of service, not only as a stock exchange, but as a landmark institution of India. We are also delighted that Honorable Finance Minister and Honorable Minister of State for Finance are amidst us on this important occasion. I thank BSE for inviting me to speak at this function. As the oldest stock exchange in Asia, the origins of BSE can be traced back to the 1850s. We all have heard anecdotes of how share brokers gathered under a banyan tree in front of the town hall in Bombay, now Mumbai, to carry out informal share and stock transactions. We are grateful to visionaries who in 1875 had the foresight to institutionalize these informal gatherings into the Native Share and Stock Brokers Association, which later acquired permanent recognition as a Bombay Stock Exchange. Indeed, these informal gatherings under a banyan tree laid the foundation and the building blocks of the edifice of the Indian securities market. The journey of BSE from humble beginning under a banyan tree to its status today as a globally reputed institution has in many ways mirrored the journey of our nation from its pre-independence era to our status today as one of the fastest growing emerging market economies in the world. BSE in its 150 years of history has witnessed 2 world wars, the Great Depression, independence of our country, and the progression of our economy over the years, especially the rapid growth of securities market in the last few years. Very few institutions have witnessed so many events in their existence, and even fewer institutions have played such a crucial role in nation building. With all ups and downs, BSE has continued to move forward and remains as one of the key market infrastructure institutions, or the MIIs as we call them, that are operating as public utility institutions in India. Let me just give a small glimpse of state of securities market in India today. Sustained capital formation is indispensable to our collective aspiration of Viksit Bharat. We need safe and efficient capital markets where informed investors and credible issuers come together under an optimally regulated ecosystem. While we must never grow complacent, all stakeholders in our capital markets can take pride in the remarkable journey we have traversed. Over the years, India's capital market infrastructure has set global benchmarks for safety, transparency, and efficiency. From pioneering dematerialized holdings and early adoption of online trading to implementing cutting-edge trading, settlement, and risk management systems, our markets have stayed ahead of the curve. Notably, India led the way with T+1 settlement cycle and built robust mechanisms for resilience and redundancy. Even in the most challenging times, such as the onset of COVID-19, when some major global markets faltered, we did not shut down trading for a single day. Today, our ecosystem routinely handles about 2,000 crore orders and transactions daily, one of the highest volumes in the world. In just 5 years, the number of unique mutual fund investors has grown from 2 crore to 5.4 crore, and the number of unique demat accounts has climbed from 3.2 crores to 11.4 crore. During FY 24-25 alone, investors channeled a record 6.1 lakh crore into equity-linked mutual fund schemes, while issuers raised a record 4.6 lakh crore through IPOs, FPOs, QIPs, rights issues, and OFS. Over the past 5 fiscal years, FPIs have net brought in over $58 billion of investments into our equity and debt markets. As of March 31, 2025, FPIs held 66.8 lakh crore of equity investments in India, or over $780 billion worth of India equity investments. Let me come to the role of MIIs. BSE is an important MII, as you know, as an exchange. And MIIs acting as first-level regulators have been instrumental in ensuring that SEBI meets its triple mandate of investor protection, development, and regulation of securities market. We have encouraged healthy competition between MIIs as it increases operational efficiency, encourages innovation, leads to better investor experience, and provides for natural backups. Considering the rapid progress being made in areas such as artificial intelligence and quantum computing, securities market will also undergo a change. We need to be prepared both for the opportunity these technologies offer as well as the risks that may arise. Even as MIIs innovate, they must ensure that investor protection and overall trust in the system remain their topmost priorities. This includes expanding investor education and awareness, enhancing cyber resilience, maintaining robust risk buffers, swiftly detecting and punishing fraudulent behavior, and upholding the highest standards of disclosure and governance. Short-term or narrow commercial goals should never overshadow these foundational public interest objectives. By preserving trust, we will continue to attract both domestic and global investors, driving sustained capital formation. I would now just come to SEBI's stance on optimum regulation and investor education. In a dynamic securities market, the role of regulator is not only to ensure market integrity and promote trust, but also development of market. We must therefore move forward with optimum regulation approach, which is mindful of the cost of compliance while exploring alternatives to achieve our objectives. Rapid changes may also create regulatory uncertainties on top of several global headwinds that industry faces today. Towards this end, we will be looking to review our existing regulations, weed out those which are outdated, and rationalize those which may be necessary. We will intensify our consultations with stakeholders in this regard to prepare a pragmatic roadmap for our objectives of simplified yet effective regulations. Moreover, under the auspices of FSDC, chaired by Honorable Finance Minister, we have a robust institutional mechanism for financial regulators to come together for harmonization of policies and regulations, ease of doing business, and reducing the cost of compliance. In a rapidly growing securities market, it is also imperative to further accelerate SEBI ecosystem's ongoing efforts for investor education and awareness, including on cyber frauds and fraudulent investment advice. We will intensify these efforts in a comprehensive manner. I once again congratulate BSE on achieving a historical milestone and hope that BSE will continue to serve the people of the country in achieving our goal of Viksit Bharat. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you, Chairman Shri Pandey ji, for your enlightening words. And here is all of us looking up to your leadership as you guide India's capital markets into a new era. It is now my privilege, ladies and gentlemen, to invite our next guest of honor, the Hon'ble Minister of State Finance, Shri Pankaj Chaudhary ji, to address us.
आदरणीय वित्त एवं कॉर्पोरेट कार्य मंत्री श्रीमती निर्मला सीतारमन जी, सेबी चेयरमैन श्री तुहिन कांत पांडे जी, एमडी एंड सीईओ बीएसई श्री रमन राम मूर्ति जी, यहाँ उपस्थित सभी सम्मानित अतिथिगण, मीडिया के साथियों, सबको मेरा नमस्कार। एशिया के सबसे पुराने स्टॉक एक्सचेंज और भारत के सबसे प्रतिष्ठित वित्तीय संस्थानों में से एक बॉम्बे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज के 150 वर्ष पूरे होने के ऐतिहासिक माइलस्टोन का उत्सव मनाने के लिए आज आप सबके बीच उपस्थित होकर मुझे प्रसन्नता हो रही है। 1875 में अपनी स्थापना के बाद बीएसई ने एक लंबा सफर तय किया है और आज बीएसई भारत की आर्थिक लचीलापन और वित्तीय प्रगति के प्रतीक के रूप में ऊंचा स्थान रखता है। एक छोटी सी सभा के रूप में शुरू हुआ यह संगठन आज एक परिष्कृत तकनीक संचालित बाजार में बदल गया है, जिसमें हजारों कंपनियां सूचीबद्ध हैं और भारत के बाजार में 700 करोड़ से ज़्यादा ऑर्डर संभालता है। ब्रोकर रन और ब्रोकर संचालित एक्सचेंज के रूप में अपने आरंभिक दिनों से यह एक अग्रणी मल्टी एसेट एक्सचेंज में विकसित हुआ है, जो इक्विटी, मुद्राओं, वस्तुओं और डेरिवेटिव सहित उत्पादों की एक विस्तृत श्रृंखला पेश करता है। हाल के वर्षों में बीएसई ने गिफ्ट सिटी में भारत के पहले अंतर्राष्ट्रीय एक्सचेंज की स्थापना करके और वैश्विक एक्सचेंज के साथ सहयोग के माध्यम से अपनी अंतर्राष्ट्रीय उपस्थिति को बढ़ाया है। बीएसई को पिछले वर्षों में जो प्रशंसा मिली वो उसके नवाचार, उत्पाद नेतृत्व और उत्कृष्टता के प्रति प्रतिबद्धता का प्रमाण है। दिलचस्प बात यह है कि बीएसई ने भारत की यात्रा के हर चरण को देखा है। औपनिवेशिक काल से लेकर स्वतंत्रता तक, प्राप्ति तक, 90 के दशक के उदारीकरण और डिजिटल क्रांति तक प्रत्येक दशक अपने साथ चुनौतियां लेकर आया और बीएसई ने अनुकूलन किया, नवाचार किया और अधिक मजबूत होकर के उभरा। बीएसई ने वित्तीय बाजारों में पारदर्शिता और दक्षता एक नए युग की शुरुआत की है। भारत के इक्विटी बाजार के प्रतीक के रूप में बीएसई ने वैश्विक पूंजी तक पहुंच को सुविधाजनक बनाकर और अपने निवेशक आधार को व्यापक बनाकर भारतीय कंपनियों के विकास को भी सक्षम किया है। भारत में 26 नवरत्न कंपनियां जैसे सार्वजनिक क्षेत्र के उद्यम भारतीय अर्थव्यवस्था में उनके महत्वपूर्ण योगदान के लिए मान्यता प्राप्त है। इन्हें बीएसई पर सूचीबद्ध किया गया था। भारत के अग्रणी बैंकों और वित्तीय संस्थानों के साथ साथ नई संपत्ति और परिसंपत्ति प्रबंधक कंपनियां BSE में लिस्टेड हैं। हाल ही में कोविड-19 महामारी के दौरान BSE के कैपिटल मार्केट इकोसिस्टम ने भी इन कंपनियों को और करोड़ों निवेशकों को लिक्विडिटी जरूरतों को पूरा करने का महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई है। ये उल्लेखनीय है कि भारत के पूंजी बाजार में इक्विटी फंड जुटाने की दर वित्त वर्ष 2025 में सर्वकालिक उच्च स्तर पर पहुंच गई है। ध्यान देने वाली बात यह भी है कि बहुत सारी युवा कंपनियां बाजार में आ रही हैं। उन सभी ने निजी बाजारों में वैल्यू बनाई है और उनकी लाभप्रदता और विकास से पता चलता है कि वो सार्वजनिक बाजारों के लिए तैयार है। यदि आप पिछले 5 वर्षों को देखें तो घरेलू खुदरा निवेशकों ने भारतीय कंपनियों में लगभग 100 लाख करोड़ रुपए का निवेश किया है। घरेलू पूंजी निर्माण ने एक ऐसा बाजार निर्मित किया जहां पूंजी जारीकर्ता और पूंजी निवेशक वास्तव में सह-अस्तित्व में रह सकते हैं। मुझे जानकर खुशी हो रही है कि इन वर्षों में BSE सरकार का साझेदार रहा है तथा वैश्विक स्तर पर अग्रणी अर्थव्यवस्था के रूप में भारत के सफल विकास में सक्रिय योगदानकर्ता, भागीदार और साक्षी रहा है। BSE का ये उत्सव मनाते समय हमें भारतीय अर्थव्यवस्था की उल्लेखनीय विकास गाथा पर विचार करना चाहिए। स्वतंत्रता के समय कृषि आधारित अर्थव्यवस्था होने से लेकर भारत दुनिया की सबसे तेजी से बढ़ती प्रमुख अर्थव्यवस्थाओं में से एक के रूप में उभरा है। भारत परिवर्तन की एक असाधारण यात्रा पर है, जो माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के विकसित भारत विजन से प्रेरित है, जिसका उद्देश्य 2047 तक भारत को एक विकसित अर्थव्यवस्था बनाना है। इस अत्यंत महत्वाकांक्षी तथापि साध्य योजना को साकार करने के लिए अर्थव्यवस्था के लगभग सभी पहलुओं को पूरी तरह से समझा जाना चाहिए तथा एक क्षेत्र जो इस लक्ष्य के केंद्र में है वह है पूंजी बाजार क्षेत्र। व्यवसायों की मदद करके, बुनियादी ढांचों का निर्माण करके और समावेशी विकास को बढ़ावा देकर यह क्षेत्र उस सपने को प्राप्त करने के लिए केंद्रीय भूमिका निभाता है। वैश्विक बाजार में निश्चित रूप से भारत के भू राजनीतिक दृष्टिकोण से स्थिर बाजार के रूप में देखा गया है। इसका विकास और GDP पर प्रभाव पड़ता है। भारत तीसरी सबसे बड़ी अर्थव्यवस्था बनने की राह पर अग्रसर है और यह माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व वाली सरकार की स्थिर नीतियों से समर्थन और लाभ उठाने की अच्छी स्थिति में है। माननीय वित्त और कॉरपोरेट कार्य मंत्री श्रीमती निर्मला सीतारमन जी के नेतृत्व में वित्त मंत्रालय के नीतियों ने यह सुनिश्चित किया है कि वैश्विक स्तर पर बाधित व्यापार और निवेश के माहौल के बीच भारत एक शाइनिंग प्लेस बना हुआ है। यह मजबूत विकास बुनियादी बातों पर आधारित है, जैसे कि अपेक्षाकृत युवा आबादी, बढ़ता मध्यम वर्ग और उत्कृष्ट डिजिटल बुनियादी ढांचा, मजबूत औद्योगिक विकास, तेजी से बढ़ते सेवा क्षेत्र और गतिशील स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम के साथ भारत अब एक वैश्विक आर्थिक शक्ति जो दुनिया की तीसरी सबसे बड़ी अर्थव्यवस्था बनने के लिए तैयार है, जिसे एक संपन्न उद्यमशीलता की भावना और नवाचार के लिए अनुकूल वातावरण और 1.57 लाख से अधिक स्टार्टअप द्वारा बढ़ावा मिल रहा है। यह परिवर्तन अभूतपूर्व रहा है। साहसिक सुधार, डिजिटल नवाचार और उद्यमशीलता की भावना का ही परिणाम है कि आज भारत विश्व स्तर पर 5वीं सबसे बड़ी अर्थव्यवस्था बनकर के उभरा है और BSE जैसे प्लेटफार्मों ने इस विकास इंजन में निवेश और पूंजी को लाने में महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई है। BSE ने न केवल इस आर्थिक यात्रा को प्रतिबिंबित किया है, बल्कि इसे सक्षम किया है। इसने बड़े और छोटे व्यवसायों का समर्थन किया है, धन सृजन के लिए एक मंच प्रदान किया है और वैश्विक निवेशकों और भारतीय उद्यम के बीच एक सेतु बना है। भारत सरकार ने स्टार्टअप इंडिया जैसी पहल के माध्यम से इस विकास को बढ़ावा देने में महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई है, जिसका उद्देश्य स्टार्टअप संस्कृति को बढ़ावा देना और उद्यमता का माहौल बनाना है। हमारे जीवंत इनोवेशन इकोसिस्टम, व्यापार समर्थक माहौल और मजबूत कनेक्टिविटी ने स्टार्टअप को संसाधनों और नेटवर्क तक पहुंचने और बाजार के अवसरों, प्रतिभा और पूंजी का दोहन करने की सहूलियत प्रदान की है। भारत स्वतंत्रता के 100वें वर्ष तक एक विकसित राष्ट्र बनने की दिशा में कदम बढ़ा रहा है। एजेंडा महत्वपूर्ण है एवं महत्वाकांक्षी है। पूंजी बाजारों का अर्थव्यवस्था पर कंपाउंडिंग इफेक्ट पड़ता है और इस महत्वाकांक्षा को सक्षम करने के लिए स्थिर, लचीला और स्थायी लाभप्रदता प्राप्त करने की आवश्यकता होगी। ऐसा करने के लिए हमें अपने पूंजी बाजारों को और भी मजबूत करना होगा। आज हम BSE के 150वें वर्ष पूरा होने का उत्सव मना रहे हैं। हम न केवल उन दूरदर्शी लोगों की विरासत का सम्मान कर रहे हैं जिन्होंने इसकी नींव रखी, बल्कि भारत के हर कोने में फिनटेक, इनोवेशन, अधिक वित्तीय समावेशन और निवेश की गहन संस्कृति से प्रेरित अनंत संभावनाओं के भविष्य की ओर भी देख रहे हैं। हम सबका भविष्य देश के भविष्य के साथ जुटा हुआ है और भविष्य हमारा उज्जवल भी है। एक बार पुनः मैं BSE को 150 वर्ष पूरे होने पर बहुत बहुत बधाई एवं शुभकामनाएं देता हूं। सभी सम्मानित अतिथियों को बहुत बहुत हार्दिक बधाई देता हूं। धन्यवाद।
माननीय मंत्री जी, धन्यवाद. And now, ladies and gentlemen, truly making this occasion special is the august presence of our chief guest. On behalf of everyone in the room, it is the Bombay Stock Exchange's absolute privilege and honor that ma'am has graciously agreed to address us on this special occasion and considered us worthy. I call upon to this podium the Hon'ble Minister of Finance and Corporate Affairs, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman ji.
Namaskar. Let me first thank Shri Sundaraman Ramamurthy for choosing to have me here. My first formal occasion to be in the BSE. My colleague in the Council of Ministers, Dr. Shri Pankaj Chaudhary ji, Chief of SEBI, Tuhin Kanta Pandey ji, and all the stakeholders in the BSE's future, invited guests, and elite of Mumbai's financial domain. I'm indeed very happy to be here, very proud to participate in this 150th celebration, a very steady journey of 150 years that the BSE has had. And let me upfront start with wishing the BSE several 150 years more and a bright future. And it is your service to the nation in terms of holding up the markets and also giving a very influential sentiment to impact the Indian economy, which is going to be looked up to. And therefore, my good wishes that you succeed, prosper, and make an impact on India's wealth creation. It's a great matter of pride. And also, both the speakers before me have mentioned as to how under a banyan tree, the Indian, rich in Indian symbolism, a banyan tree prospers, has several roots, aerial roots as well, provides shadow and shade for the birds and animals, and it is seen as that which grants your wishes. The BSE's growth has been so symbolically associated with that one early visionary group of people sitting and meeting under it, which has brought it to this far into the technology-driven age. But that has a story also, because it is only those informal but yet very effective meetings, bringing together of minds, which have come up with great institutions such as the BSE for India. It didn't require big hallowed areas or portals. Common man's everyday tree has really grown into such a big institution, is something which is so aligned with the Indian ethos, and therefore I think this augurs well to lead us towards Vikasit Bharat as well. I in fact congratulate and thank the entire leadership of and the employees of the BSE, all past and present, and to every investor, entrepreneur and policy maker who has contributed to this incredible steady journey of the BSE. The historical significance has been narrated both by the chief of SEBI and also my colleague. I need not elaborate on it, but it is worth recalling because it's the 150th year, it's a historic time, and for a stock exchange which has existed before India's independence, made its mark even during that time under the British rule. The imprint of the banyan tree installed outside this venue also resonates that transformation which I referred to a minute ago. I was surprised to hear, and I'm very proud to note, that the BSE has a capacity to process 1,500 crore orders per day and to manage even peaks of 14 lakh orders in a second. That is where a traditional, nearly 150 years as of today, institution, 150-year-old institution, has utilized technology to transform itself so much that the numbers match India's population scale, and for the world, which is advanced, which has seen all the stock market booms and busts, today looks up to the Indian scaling that the BSE has achieved as remarkable. So these are not small numbers. 14 lakh orders per second and 1,500 crores orders per day is not small in number. And I was just sort of looking at further breaking down this number. The average time taken to complete a transaction is less than 200 microseconds. If all this matters for a stock exchange, it is so important that you have stood up to the challenge of technology, and the benefits are accruing to all the shareholders in this stock exchange. And therefore, this is a beautiful journey of the financial sector, and this is all pervasive, and that is why I think it has a story of its own. 150 years is important, but together with it, the kind of milestones that you've achieved are very important. Much like the Wall Street, in the US, Sensex BSE's benchmark, the benchmark index of 30 top companies, is the sensitive pulse of the Indian economy, and that is there for everyone to recognize. From its start at around 550 points, that is in 1986, to touching a high of 80,000 points in July 2024, it has mirrored the resilience and the growth potential of the Indian economy itself. So I think this is a barometer to show where Indian economy is strengthening, where it is moving towards, and therefore, even as we celebrate 150 years, we are celebrating how you mirror the growth potential of the Indian economy. All of us would have been familiar with the acronym VUCA. It is a VUCA world. It's full of volatility, uncertainty, complex and ambiguous paradigms which are shifting every day. One thing stands firm: the strength of the Indian economic fundamentals and the macroeconomic prudence with which the economy is being managed. We offer investors, who are the nerve centers of a stock exchange, we offer investors a combination of policy stability, growth, governance and innovation, macroeconomic policies, prudent policies, and democratic institutions and youthful dynamism. We have recognized the shifts which are underway when we presented the budget for 25-26. It had outlined a clear roadmap focusing on key priority areas, including agricultural productivity, rural development, inclusive growth, manufacturing, support to MSME, employment generation, innovation, energy security, and export promotion. We firmly believe that the most effective path to building economic resilience is to foster domestic efficiencies and competitiveness. India is confident much later than the COVID, now after the COVID, because of the calibrated approach that we took. India is confident that we will navigate these global disruptions with policy agility and long-term vision. Our focus remains firmly on building robust domestic foundation, and the foundation is laid and strengthened through infrastructure development, inclusive growth, and deeper regional cooperation. These are not just buffers, external buffers to external shocks, but accelerators for our long-term growth aspirations. And I think the role of the capital markets in India's growth story has never been more important than it is now. Driven by a strong regulatory architecture, and we have the SEBI's chief here. So driven by a regulatory architecture which is strong and enabled by reforms such as dematerialization, T+1, about which the SEBI chief spoke, T+1, the settlement, direct market access, and mutual fund penetration. India has built one of the most robust market infrastructure in the world. For a moment, I'll take an aside. Only a few days ago, I was in the UK trying to be a part of the economic and financial framework that exists between the two countries, which happens every year. We meet once in Delhi, once in London. Even at that time, one of the full-time members of SEBI, Varshney, was there. He's here before us today. The moment I mentioned T+1 settlement, you could see in the face of all the British representatives, they were aware of it, but you could see in the face of each of the representatives a pleasure to hear such a kind of a technological advancement that you have implemented. Equally, a tone of disappointment that they have not reached that level yet. So it gave me immense satisfaction to sit in London to tell them that we are far better than them in terms of dealing with the stock markets. So that's a very recent memory that I have experienced, so I thought I should put it before you. I could see it in the highest of decision makers in UK, that T+1 is something which is like a pole star, which they are yet to reach. So congratulations on that as well. FY25 capitalization of India's stock markets crossed $5 trillion mark for the first time, making India the 5th largest capital market globally. Over the past 5 years, our indices have delivered an impressive 131% dollar-adjusted return, the highest among global peers. Marking it at when you're 150 is something of a great sweet pleasure. I think that goes immensely to the BSE's credit. Congratulations on that as well. India's weight in the MSCI Emerging Market Index has tripled from 6.3% in 2013 to 18.5% in 2025, reflecting strong global investors' interest and our rising influence in the global financial ecosystem. Today, with a combined market capitalization of over 400 lakh crore, the BSE stands among the world's top stock exchanges, empowering businesses, startups, and industries to scale and innovate. The logo, released for the celebration of the 150 years, today signifies prosperity, vibrance, growth, and new beginnings, besides emphasizing continued trust and enhanced responsibility. So I think to commemorate the 150th year of this successful journey, it gave me immense pleasure to launch the BSE India 150 Index today, which will capture our growth story, our drive to innovate, and our structural innovation, evolution as well with growth. The silver coin that has been issued out today also honors the BSE's incredible journey. I also appreciate the BSE's CSR initiatives, which show that you still give back to the society that which is recognized your excellent performance. And those were also initiatives which underline your commitment to education, health, green energy, and community well-being. I appreciate your efforts on those scores as well. Today I also want to speak a few words, not just of where we are, but of where we are headed to. India stands at a defining point in its economic journey. We have moved from the world's 10th largest economy in 2014 to becoming the 5th largest, and sooner we will be the 3rd largest with all our efforts. I look forward to that day because it would mark the high watermark where India can reach purely on the back of the efforts of our own institutions, and it is thereafter that the efforts will be much more required towards maintaining and moving upwards, which can become very, very challenging. To reach 3rd position itself is of immense pride, but to sustain ourselves there will require a lot more planning and taking ourselves forward. We recognize that the global landscape is changing and changing rapidly, and the world is going through a phase of trade calibrations, about which I don't need to talk in detail. The recalibration efforts on trade are very, very challenging. I wouldn't say it is worrisome, but it is also going to be very challenging. The intensification of tariff wars and the rise of protectionist policies have the potential to disrupt global supply chains, increase production costs, and create uncertainty in investment decisions across borders as well. This has had a ripple effect on the financial markets across the globe, and including our own market. Over the years, the number of companies with a stock market capitalization of over 1 lakh crore has increased steadily, rising from just one in 2000, that is a year, and to 30 just before the pandemic, and then rising sharply to 81 today. So I hope I don't need to reinforce the significance of this one achievement. The number of companies with a stock market capitalization of over 1 lakh was just 1 lakh crore was just one in the year 2000. It rose to reach the level of 30 before the pandemic, but then today it is at 81, and that is a very big thing for an emerging market country. There are at least 55 companies today with over 1 million investors each, from a little more than a handful of just 7 in 2014. So it is spreading. The retail investors' participation is also so significant in the last few years. This increase over the last 2 decades is a reflection of India's strong economic fundamentals, implementation of crucial reforms, and also a steadily growing investor base. India's financial markets have shown remarkable resilience despite recent global uncertainties. Testament to this is the fact that in the second half of March 2025, just a month ago, foreign portfolio investors made substantial investments in India's financial sector, channeling over 17,500 crores into financial stocks. And this is in rupees, 17,500 crore rupees. Simultaneously, domestic investors, particularly the institutional investors, have played an increasingly central role. In the last financial year, DIIs, the domestic institutional investors, recorded total inflows of 6.1 lakh crore, far outpacing the 1.3 lakh crore net outflows from FPIs. This transition of DIIs from a supportive to a dominant force underlines the growing maturity and depth of India's capital market. And I think this happening in the 150th year of BSE marks a major profile, impact-changing profile to the Indian stock markets. So the DIIs are no more just being supportive, but have now taken up the role of being a dominant force in our markets. Our equity markets have also seen unprecedented primary market activity. I'm sure most of you all here know most of what I'm saying, but I take this as an occasion to recall how the characteristics of India's stock market itself is changing and changing for the better, for inclusion, for financial inclusion, and for also the spread of well-being and prosperity through wealth creation, which is reaching everybody. Our equity markets have also seen unprecedented primary market activity, which I said a minute ago. Over the past 5 years, the number of domestic IPOs surged threefold, from 106 to 320, culminating in a record equity issuance of 4.2 lakh crores in FY25, twice the amount raised in the previous year. Notably, India became the top country globally in IPO volume, surpassing the US with nearly double the number of listings. I think that deserves a hand. This reflects the growing preference for equity-based financing and the strong trust placed in India's economic prospects by both the domestic and international investors. We are all committed as government and also the markets and so on. We're all committed to the goal of financial empowerment of our citizens, regardless of geography or gender or income class, by providing the opportunity to participate in and benefit from the growth of our financial ecosystem. For this, we have carried out manifold reforms in the financial sector and innovatively used technology to achieve financial inclusion at scale and foster transparency, better and faster service delivery, and promote ease of participation in financial markets. This has certainly got reflected, and I would like to again say something which you in this audience may already know and recognize, but I take this opportunity to recall this. This is reflected in the strong retail investor participation in the capital markets. Our markets added a record of 4.1 crore demat accounts in February 25. I appreciate the Indian retail investor for having kept their trust in our markets. And that is why this number is increasing in this kind of a significant way, bringing the total number of demat accounts to 19.2 crores. I really appreciate how the retail investors have placed their faith in the markets today, and they are doing their own homework. And I'm sure the financial awareness campaigns are all paying off. But the better governing companies, or governance where the corporate governance are very good, companies where their performance is transparently laid out, and when MCA's records are constantly being read by people, you know that the interest which the retail investors have taken to come in a big way into the market is very well informed, and not a rush into the market thinking they're going to mint gold. So this is an informed move of the Indian retail investor from just depending on bank fixed deposits to taking a bit of risk and coming into the market, because the transparency element in corporate governance has given them a chance to learn better about companies and choose to invest in them directly or through the funds. Notably, the number of new demat accounts added each financial year now matches the total number of accounts that existed before the pandemic. The median age of Indian investors is 32 years, with over 40% of them under the age of 30 only. And one in 4 investors today is a woman. I'm so glad to give you this data, because the youth and women are the ones who are placing their trust and faith in the stock markets, and it is that which we have to carefully nurture, and any small omission or commission will shatter this newfound faith, because this faith has given us strength. We need to nurture it. The mutual fund industry has played also a very pivotal role in fostering financial inclusion, with assets under management more than tripling in 5 years, from 22 lakh crore to 65 lakh crores. In just 5 years, the number of unique mutual fund investors has grown from 2 crore to 5.4 crores. And the majority of these assets are held in equity-oriented schemes by individual investors, reinforcing the grassroots strength of our financial system. To this end, we are also expanding investor education through SEBI, through AMFI, which is the Association of Mutual Funds in India, simplifying KYC, which is a constant work being done by the Finance Ministry, but in trickles, many measures are coming to simplify KYC, and onboarding processes via Aadhaar-linked verification, and strengthening grievance redressal mechanism. We are actually enabling retail participation in government securities and promoting stock exchanges, which are social stock exchanges, to channel capital towards the not-for-profit sector. So our vision for India's capital markets extends beyond scale. We are building markets that are inclusive, accessible, and resilient. As we look ahead, we envision Indian capital markets that are, I'd like to just put or bring to your attention 4 specific things which I'm looking at when I'm looking at the growth of the markets and Indian economy. So as we look ahead, we envision the Indian capital markets that are deep and diverse, globally integrated, digitally secure, and sustainable and inclusive. I don't need to elaborate on each one of them, but deep and diverse is with a broad range of innovative instruments and a wide variety of participants, investors, and those who mobilize capital. When I say globally integrated, I mean with seamless participation by all classes of domestic and foreign investors at a high speed and large scale. And when I say digitally secure, adoption of robust cybersecurity measures with due care to data privacy. And when I say sustainable and inclusive, I mean serving one and all, including MSMEs, women entrepreneurs, rural investors, and social enterprises. So I think there is a very big role for stock exchanges. As a crucial part, the stock exchanges serve as a more as just a trading platform. They are the first line regulations. At the same time, they need to balance the cost of compliance with such regulations and enable innovations and informed risk taking. I think to truly democratize investments, stock exchanges must continually innovate and design products that are accessible, understandable, and aligned with the risk appetite and saving behavior of our citizen, whether through retail-friendly indices, simplified ETFs, or platforms for long-term SIP-based investing. The goal must be to make capital markets inclusive and rewarding for all strata of our society. In a rapidly growing market, with increasing retail participation, investor education becomes very, very vital. Investor awareness programs in regional languages should be conducted across urban and rural areas, particularly focusing on students. Now that I've told you the average age, particularly focusing on students, senior citizens, women, rural investors, and first-time traders. So without taking much of your time, I want to underline that India stands at a defining moment amidst rising global uncertainty. The world is looking towards us, not just for our impressive growth trajectory or demographic strength, but for the example we can set as a nation that leads with integrity, inclusivity, and innovation. Capital markets are not merely financial instruments, they are a reflection of our nation's maturity, economic maturity, and democratic spirit. So as we stride towards becoming Vikasit Bharat by 2047, which is not too far away, just 22 years more, let us ensure that our markets mirror the very best of India, resilient in adversity, adaptive in transition, and equitable in opportunity. So let me end with a message to all stakeholders in this vibrant ecosystem, to our market intermediaries and exchanges. I appeal, innovate with purpose, but always put the investor at the center. To all our investors, I appeal, stay informed, stay patient, and believe in the long-term promise of disciplined wealth creation. To our corporates, I appeal, let transparency play a role. Sound governance be your message, and commitment to shareholder value be your guiding principle. And to our regulators, I appeal, remain proactive, remain agile, responsive in a world that is defined by rapid change. So in an era where data is capital and algorithms trade in nanoseconds, which you've already proven as to what is your strength, the human values that build our institutions like BSE, the human values such as trust, resilience, and vision must remain at the core, at no cost. We should forget the people who sat under the banyan tree, who sowed the very seeds for this institution. It is with trust they did it. They wanted a resilient body and vision with which they believe that they can do it. It is that message that we should never forget, and it is your 150 years of journey which underlines those three important values: trust, resilience, and vision. So, to conclude, the story of India is not just about numbers, because we are very big numbers in most of the indicators. It is about trust, it is about transformation, and it is about the countless dreams of our retail investors. Let our capital markets continue to reflect the dynamism needed in our journey towards becoming a Vikasit Bharat, support our nation's ambitions, and inspire future generations of wealth creators and investors. Thank you very much for patiently listening to me.
Thank you, Honourable Minister, for your wise words as ever. And more than that, on behalf of this House, thank you for the phenomenal toil you have put in through your career to lay the foundations for a better India. Thank you. We would now like to deliver a token of thanks and appreciation to the dignitaries who have graced us with their presence here today. To do the honours, may I please invite the Managing Director and CEO of BSE, Shri Ramamurthy ji, for the felicitation ceremony. Starting with the Honourable Minister of Finance and Corporate Affairs, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman ji. Ramamurthy ji, may I please request you to now felicitate Honourable Minister of State, Finance, Shri Pankaj Chaudhary ji. And now, felicitations for SEBI Chairman, Shri Tuhin Kanta Pandey ji. Thank you, Ramamurthy ji. And now to deliver the vote of thanks, may I please invite on stage the Director on the Board of the Bombay Stock Exchange, Shri M. Jagannath.
Good evening, Honorable Minister for Finance and Corporate Affairs, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman ji, Honorable Minister of State Finance, Shri Pankaj Chaudhary ji, Chairman SEBI, Shri Tuhin Kanta Pandey ji, BSE Managing Director and CEO, Shri Sundaraman Ramamurthy ji, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I feel honored and privileged to have got the opportunity to propose a vote of thanks on this very special and momentous occasion, 150 years of BSE. The very presence of Honorable Finance Minister in today's inauguration, in spite of her extremely busy schedule, is a reflection of the importance this is attached to economic reforms. We are all inspired by your gracious presence, Madam. I, on behalf of the BSE family, guest invitees, and on my own behalf, extend to you, Honorable Minister, a very hearty vote of thanks for gracing the function and sharing with this august audience your vision for our country in general and the capital markets in particular. We at the BSE Group are committed to the broad principles of what the Finance Minister has suggested in her speech. We believe that it's in all our interests and that of the future generation of Indians to push for an economic agenda that gives us sustained high levels of growth for the next decade. The interests of BSE and Indian capital markets are exactly and totally aligned with this. Madam, we will continue to look towards you for guidance and further inspiration. Thank you again very much, Madam. I would like to take this opportunity to express our hearty thanks to Honorable Minister of State Finance, Shri Pankaj Chaudhary ji, for his gracious presence at this function. Sir, thank you for your kind words, and we at BSE will leave no stone unturned and ensure that BSE takes the lead to revitalize and grow our India's capital markets for the next 150 years. We are also extremely thankful Shri Tuhin Kanta Pandey ji, Chairman SEBI, for his constant help and guidance that radiated a source of energy within us. We will ever remain grateful to you. We also thank all officials at SEBI for their enormous support and guidance they have extended to BSE at all times. We at the BSE are also extremely thankful to all at Ministry of Finance, Government of India for their support and valuable guidance in the entire journey in organizing this event. Though we are joined by some of the officials, we also remain indebted to others who could not join us here due to their busy schedule. Words are not enough to thank them for their constant guidance and support to shape today's event. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation for all our key stakeholders, listed companies, member brokers, merchant bankers, technology vendors, etc., who have been instrumental in ensuring BSE evolved from small establishment under a banyan tree to a sophisticated, tech-driven marketplace that lists thousands of companies and handles over 750 crore orders in India's marketplace. Especially, I take this opportunity to extend our most sincere thanks to all our guests who have come from different destinations, some of whom have traveled long distances to be with us for the event. I also wish to express my gratitude to the Board of Directors at BSE for their guidance, support, and for providing encouragement at every point in the implementation of this event. As we celebrate 150 years of BSE today, I would also like to honor the legacy of visionaries and the past management of BSE who laid its foundation and grew in its formative and growth years. I also like to express sincere thanks to the media contingent here, both electronic and print, for giving excellent coverage to our program. Lastly, an event of this magnitude cannot happen overnight. The wheels started rolling months in advance. It required meticulous planning and execution with an eye for detail. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of highly motivated and dedicated colleagues led by MD and CEO Shri Sundaraman Ramurthy ji, who are all result-oriented and did their job to perfection. Due to lack of time, I cannot name everyone, but cannot thank everyone enough for the involvement they have shown and the willingness they have expressed to take on the completion of tasks beyond their comfort zones. Before I conclude, I would also like to thank event organizers at Factors MC, Mr. Nijay Nairji, venue and catering team Geo. Without you guys, this event was not possible. Thank you very much again. Dear ladies and gentlemen, BSE is taking a lead in bringing international standards in India in technology, compliance, corporate governance, enabling investments, encouraging risk management, and promoting the growth of SMEs. On behalf of the management, we promise BSE will play a catalytic role in shaping the new India driven by Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji's vision, Vikasit Bharat vision, which aims to shape India into a developed economy by 2047, its centenary of independence. BSE remains committed to bringing out solutions which are of strategic importance and relevance to our business, economy, the country, and the common man as well. At the end, I once again thank Honorable Finance and Corporate Affairs Minister, Honorable Minister of State Finance, SEBI Chairman, and the distinguished assemblage in this event for their august presence amongst us on this historic occasion. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Shri Jagannathji. And now, before we close the day's proceedings, in the true spirit of our nation, may I please request that we all rise. Rise not just from our seats, but in our hearts for our national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we close the day's proceedings, we do not end the story. We simply turn the page to a new beginning for the Bombay Stock Exchange, bridging 150 years of its history with the yet unwritten chapters of its future. BSE sincerely thanks the dignitaries for gracing this occasion and the dais, and every one of you in the audience for making it possible to be with us today. As a way of saying thank you, the BSE signs off with a promise to forever strive to do our best to serve this nation that has given us the place that it has. Thank you again, and Jai Hind. Ladies and gentlemen, may I please request you to stay seated while the dignitaries make their way. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and please remember to join us for high tea, where we will have a chance to talk to each other after this event. Thank you.